First, my name is Brandon Champ Robinson. I am a writer, director, and DP. My company is Imagination Upgraded, and I've been running this company full time since about 2017. So we do full service production, anywhere from music videos, narrative, commercial, those kind of things. Not so much music videos anymore, kind of moved away from that, but everybody starts with music videos, right?
Do
Um,
they?
but it feels like that out here, at least in California, in LA. But yeah, so mostly now doing narrative and documentary and commercial work. Um, I started this, I want to say back, caught a kind of always been an entertainer, caught a love for storytelling and film in middle school, when I was scheduled to take a video production class. Just kind of really fell in love with the camera and the process and doing things like that. And then went into high school. And by luck, well, I was just placed in this high school. I didn't choose it. By luck, they had a video production program. So I was able to get into that program and continue learning the art of filmmaking and those kind of things. Um, yeah, so that's kind of how I got into it. That's how I got my start. Moved to California in 2014 to pretty much chase the dream of being a big Hollywood director, and just kind of still working on that to this day.
Do you feel like what you learned in high school really gave you the foundation to be able to start, I guess, like so early? Because some people don't start until much later in life, or they don't make the move, or they go to a long film school, like for college.
Yeah, so I went to a small media institute. It was called Madison Media Institute back in Madison, Wisconsin. It was it it was okay. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, but definitely learned some things. But learning from high school and starting in middle school and then going through high school, it basically taught me how to self-teach myself and just seek out more knowledge and seek out things and really figure out what my learning style was. So my learning style has always been hands-on. So like just start doing it and I'll figure it out from there. So that's kind of how I approach everything and how I've been able to be successful this far up to this point, in California, especially with, how things are up and down. I've been able to kind of stay afloat a little bit.
What do you think was like the first big lesson you learned after moving out to the West Coast?
The first big lesson I learned after moving out here to the West Coast and then starting to deal with professionals is, number one, you got to realize that you kind of suck and you need to learn exactly what they are doing, especially coming from another place. And when I say I'm being funny when I say you suck, but it's different. Like you don't know everything, and you really are starting from ground zero, kind of no matter where you came from, because if you aren't in that system or in that structure of how they do things, then you kind of got to learn the lay of the land, learn the way of how they do it and things like that. And the biggest thing is making relationships. Um, the No matter how many job postings you see for such things, 9 times out of 10, you put in a random application for something in the film industry, you're probably not going to get it. But if you know someone and they tell you to, hey, apply for this, or they say, hey, come meet these people, that's most of the time how you land your work.
Do you think one of the biggest things that aspiring filmmakers would need to do is learn to network?
Yeah, it sucks because aspiring filmmakers always say, "Oh, I don't want to do the networking. I don't want to do this and this and that." And I was like that as well. But like even today, I'm getting ready to go down to a film festival. I don't have a film in it, but there's some people that I know that have films in it, and just being around the energy and being genuine and making genuine connections. Like I've never gotten a gig or a job from telling somebody, "Hey man, you ever need anything, call me and I'll be there." Now it's just like, all right, we kicking it, we hanging out, we talk a little bit here and there on social media, and then all of a sudden something comes up like, "Hey man, I got this thing coming up and I could use you on it," and there it is. So it's the genuine connection.
What made you want to, did you start Imagination Upgraded? And if it was like your inception or your conception, what made you start it?
I did. I started it just because one, I wanted to have a production company to house everything under, and two, I was really fascinated with the start of like the Marvel universe. So I was like, oh, I need to have something that comes in the front of my every film. So it's like it might seem like it was just that little thing. Like I want to have imagination upgrade in front of every one of my films, and I'm going to create this universe, and I can do whatever I want to. It's such a good name. It's open. I can do a kid show to a drama to a horror or whatever. Um, so that was kind of my inception of the name and where it came from. But just starting and wanting to be able to build something and actually have a place to create from and a place to kind of grow from and build and be able to have that, which what I want to be a studio where we can create different projects and then go out into the world and release them to different places, maybe get some theatrical releases, or be able to take on other projects. So that was just kind of making the organization of it bigger than just like me.
How do you decide what projects you want to work on?
How much do they pay?
Do
No, so,
you think it's like
um,
sort of also a luck thing where not everybody gets to decide what they want to work on. They just kind of have to take what comes, and you've built yourself to a
yeah,
place where you get to decide.
I think I think I'm at the point where I kind of get to decide what I want to work on. Um, and when I say that, I've made a path of things that I'm doing that a lot of times that's what comes my way, right? Like I put out what I want to get back. You know what I mean? So I'm putting out the kind of work that I want to do. And that's usually what comes back to me. Like I don't get calls for, I'm not hating on anybody, but I don't get calls for like weddings or anything like that because I don't want to do that. I don't put that
Right.
out there into the world that that's something I want to do. And when I was doing a bunch of music videos, I had a bunch of music videos out there, and then I would get calls for those. And then I wanted to stop doing music videos, so I stopped putting them out there, and I stopped getting calls for music videos. Not saying that I still wouldn't do it if one came around and it was worth it, it was
Yeah.
fun, but yeah, I think you kind of curate what you want to come your way, and sometimes you just may have to say no to things if you just know you're not enthusiastic about it, or if it's something you really don't want to do, then a lot of times like it may come down to pay. Like if there's something I really don't want to do but it's paying a lot of money, then like all right, well I'll just knock it out,
I could get
and I'll
myself
be
started.
yeah, I can get myself to do this. But if it's something you really don't want to do and it's not in a line with where you're going, then sometimes it's better to just say no than to take it and do a horrible job or burn a bridge. It's better to just say no, I don't have time for this one right now, but please keep me in mind for the next one. I love
Yeah.
to work on your next one, things like that.
So with all of the projects that you've done, what do you think is your favorite thing to work on? Like if you could have a pipeline of like, I just want to work on this thing more, what would it be to land in your lap?
It would be series. Like I think I love doing series. I haven't done like a full like TV show or anything, but I love the idea of working through a story over time and being able to kind of make. 'Cause I love feature films, obviously, but it's like when you do a series, it's kind of like being able to make 8 feature films for
Mhm.
one kind of thing. But with just how good these series are these days, like it's almost like every hour of TV show or series you watch is like an hour movie. You know what I mean? That would be like an ideal situation for me.
What do you think is like your favorite series that you've watched lately?
Oh man, favorite series that I watched lately. The Menendez brothers was really good. American Crime Story, but it was OJ. It was with the OJ one. And it was Cuba Gooding Jr. Cuba Gooding Jr. He was playing OJ. And that was really good. He killed it. Oh, Presumed Innocence was really good on Apple TV Plus with Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't know if you've seen that one. And then one more that was really good. Actually, Apple TV is really killing it. Like Lessons in Chemistry was great. Like I almost would work on
Dark
any Apple
Matter.
TV. Dark Matter was great. Severance was great. Um, C was awesome. like almost every show they do on there has been really good. The villains are the actual, they have the best stories. Like when I started Imagination Upgraded, I started making a web series called the Harley Quinn web series. It was just a fan film series, and people really enjoyed it. They loved it, and I saw. I mean, probably you can find this anywhere, but I feel like I saw a lot of my Harley Quinn web series when they started to do like Harley Quinn and introduce her to the DC universe, and I was like, you could have just called me, bro. Like I would have come
I
and
was
get you.
already doing this.
I was already doing it. Like I know you seen it. I was the only person on the web that has a Harley Quinn web series. I know you seen it if you Google it.
I feel like that happens a lot where somebody's like, I see a good idea, let me adopt it. And that's like a lot of creativity, is like seeing somebody else's idea and being like, well, how can I
Hmm.
put my spin on it?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I did with my Harley Quinn web series. Like I wanted to take the character and kind of just put a spin on like how I would do it. You know what I mean? Like if I was given a chance to do it, this is some of the stories that I would tell.
People wanting to get into it to put their own twist on stories that are already there, just focus on more original things.
That's good. It's almost like the point I was getting to with that is like, yes, I used Harley Quinn starting my YouTube channel because I knew people knew the character. And I was like, okay, people will come and see this because of familiarity with the character, but then they will see that they'll see my voice, like my storytelling, my direction, my writing, my choices, and things like that. And so that's what I mean when I say it was like a bait and switch. It was like, all right, hey, come here, shiny, this is this, but then now really let me tell you what I want you
Yeah,
to
because if
know.
your voice resonates with them, they're going to want to come back and watch things that you do.
Exactly.
It's sort of like when you're a musician and you might start doing covers, and then people decide they really like your voice,
Exactly.
more willing to listen to your original music. So now we'll talk about Night Hag, because I have watched it and I'm like, my favorite genre is horror. How did you get involved with the project?
So Night Hag was a fun project that my writing partner and I came up with. We were just like, let's just make something quick, something we could do over a night and just kind of get going. Because really, I was in kind of a slump, a funk, and I'm like, all right, I got to get out of this. Let's just make something. And that's kind of where it was born. And the idea was pretty fun, pretty good. I had met the creature actress before on another set. She was just doing extra work, and I asked her, like, hey, what do you do? And then she started doing all these weird things with her face, and she was like, I do creature acting, and then she started just like turning into a demon and doing all these other weird things, and then she showed me some stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, like we'll do something one day. And then we just exchanged contacts. And then when we came up with this idea, I was like, all right, this is perfect. So she came through and she enjoyed the character when we talked about it. And now we're trying to take that 5 minute piece and adapt it to a full feature film.
So you said you shot that all in one night.
We shot that all in one night.
Would you
We
say
had
that's
access
like
to the place in
typical?
one night. No, that's not. But it was a good like exercise to do what you can, do something with limited resources and be creative and just get it done. You know what I mean? I ended up writing like a little kind of ebook, basically outlining like how to shoot a film in one day. And certain things you should do to kind of prepare yourself to get there. Because when you say shooting in one day, it's really just the filming part in one day. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of preparation up to that and then post work after that. But the biggest time, or let me say like time and money, drain is the shooting day for the most part, because as independent filmmakers, we're usually wearing a lot of hats. So we're writing, producing, storyboarding on, then post and doing all that stuff. And that's usually just a time cost for us. That could be a difficult thing when you're trying to get multiple people to come for multiple days and you may not be paying. They may be coming in for favors or you're paying very low. So if you can get it done in a day and just have a story and something that's good and you can send out on YouTube or send to film festivals, I think it's a really good way to get yourself going.
I read something online the other day that said, like, if you can't create something on a small budget, then nobody's like, just to start out, then who's going to hire you, right? They want to see the ingenuity and like what you can do without needing this giant amount of money. Do you think that's true?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I believe that's true. I think that filmmaking is the number one thing with filmmaking is problem solving. And problem solving, people think that, you throw money at it and it'll solve all the problems. Well, sometimes, yes. But then if you start to throw money at one problem, then you're like, all right, let me throw money at this problem, and let me throw money at this problem. And then your producers with the money are like, no. So if you have the ingenuity to be able to figure out how to make things work without necessarily needing to increase the budget, then you'll be able to do more creatively when you do get a nice size budget, because now you can say, all right, I know how to do this, so I can spend more money on this, or I know how to do this, so I can do it this way, but then I want to have a big car crash later, so we can do that now because we have extra money because I knew how to take care of this and get that done well.
What is the process like of turning a short into a feature?
Usually for me, like shorts have just like, I'll leave shorts a little bit open ended at the end. Like it finishes, it tells a full story, but then it's like, oh, but what happens after that? Like, where does it go from here? And then at that point, it's like, all right, now let's start from with outlining and just jotting down ideas. Let's start from the beginning because a lot of my shorts start somewhere in the middle. Like I'm never really like starting at the beginning of a story. It's like you get tossed into the action because you got to like catch people quick with shorts.
Mhm.
So you kind of get tossed into a middle of the story, but it also can be a beginning. Um, so now it's like going back, like, all right, how do we start to tell this story up to this point, and then where does it go from there? So it's a lot of like outlining and just different conversations, or if you're with yourself, just different ways to figure out how to tell that story in a longer form. That's basically all it is.
What are you
Exactly.
working on? Well, other than that, because that's something you're working on. Are you working on anything else?
Yeah, so I just finished another short that we're finishing up in post right now called Strong Friend. It's
Mhm.
basically goes with have you ever heard the saying like people say check on your strong friends? It's just like
Yeah.
a woman who's basically putting on a facade, but on the inside, like she's crumbling, and you kind of see how that happens throughout this short. So we're doing that and getting ready to put that in the film festivals. And also, probably by the time you release this, I think I'm actually taking Night Hag from YouTube, and I've started a streaming service of my own called redgrade.tv. And that's basically where I am trying to figure out a new avenue on how to monetize some of these
Mhm.
shorts and some of my content, and people that want to support me through different things, and they can do it through a subscription based kind of model.
Like a Patreon
Um,
type
yeah,
thing.
it's like Patreon, but I'm creating it so it's like my own thing, so I can get content from my friends and we can work out different things like that on uh how we do it. So right now it's just in the beginning stages, and it's trying to figure out how to get people there. Like I'm giving away a lot of stuff and just marketing at this point. But
Yep.
it's doing all right. It's doing really well. We just released this little short series called Evolution of a Heathen, which is about one of my friends back home and his journey from being it was a DJ named DJ Heathen. He was kind of like a butthead, and he's like changed his life, and he's like more community focused and all of that kind of stuff, and help with the youth and things like that. So that's a little 4-part series we released on there. I'm gonna move like most of my YouTube stuff. I'm gonna move there just because I feel like YouTube, I want to try something different. Like a lot of people don't try different things. Like you just throw it up on YouTube and see what happens.
Yeah.
I think YouTube is really a creator space now more than a filmmaker space. And if you're a creator that happens to just put out a film, then all right, cool, we'll watch it because we are invested in the other things that you do. So I think that my content on my YouTube is going to go more towards the creator space, and you know, the edutainment kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Big
and
right
because
now.
that's right, because that's what people are looking for. And then as you know, you look for, let's say I shoot Night Hag, and it's like, all right, you've been invested watching me shoot Night Hag. Now go here, you know what I mean, and watch it. You can go here and watch the full film, and then just kind of trying to tie the two together. That's the goal.
And that's really smart. Do you think that's sort of
Exactly.
the future of the industry, is people just kind of, because
I
it's
think
hard
so.
to live, it's expensive to live, and especially in a creative industry
Mhm.
where it's very much like this, finding ways
Yeah.
to be able to survive and thrive is, I think it feels like it's becoming more difficult.
Yeah, I think so. A lot of the people that I watch, they all create something else, and that's what kind of keeps them afloat in between productions or in between jobs, or you know, something that can help them continue to be creative. And that's kind of what I want to do. And I was even having a conversation with one of my friends about how, as much as we're trying to get into the big Hollywood industry, you see those Hollywood people trying to get into this industry where we are. You know what I mean? So we also should, you know, kind of take advantage of that and be grateful, like, oh, we're here and we do this here. And they're trying to come down. I don't want to say come down, but like they're trying to come to do the things that we're doing. So we should be taking advantage of that as well while we're trying to, you know, ascend and get higher in this industry.
What advice would you give to people just now trying to, I guess, I don't even know if you would call it break into the industry anymore, but that's like the age old saying. What would be like your best advice for them?
Best advice is just like just go create something. Like I think if you create something, even just a 1 minute film, or um, if we're just talking film industries, like learn to just tell a story. Like that's, and the only way to really learn to tell a story is to start putting those stories together. Like I learned so much when I started to do the Harley Quinn series, um, and even before then, just starting with music videos, and I started to put storylines in my music videos, and I was like, all right, I can, people like this, I can make a series. Let me learn dialogue. Let's see what's natural dialogue. Let me read about it. Let me do a lot of self-education things. That's big. So just create. Like I always think that creating brings work. And like I said in the beginning of this, what you put out there is normally what you'll get back. So just continue to put out good work that you want to do, and just keep creating. Even when you find yourself in a slump, just find some way to create something.
Yeah. It's like manifest your destiny.
Hmm.
This
Absolutely.
is not like an opening to plug Celtx, but it is a good question of
Okay.
what tools do you find help you the most in your creative process?
Some of the tools that I find that helps me the most in the creative process. Um, let's see. I one consume a lot of media, and I'll basically, I have every streaming service, so I find something on every streaming service to watch. But other things I do is like I look at a lot of stills and a lot of so like shotdeck.com is a really good one. Um, I've been lucky enough to catch like a lot of these sites like really early on. This is called Shot Dig. Like when it first came out, I had been using Celtx since it was a like free downloadable program, and just kind of traveled with it through its many different forms, and love what it's doing now. Like I use that from top to bottom on every production, from uh, you know, starting the creation process to building in, you know, breakdowns and doing the schedule and the budgets and things like that. So Celtics is a really big one for me. Um, I use Milanote a lot for just gathering a bunch of ideas from different places and creating little boards and outlines. It's just a really good canvas to just bring things together and start throwing ideas and seeing where it goes. Um, and then with that, just like music and playlist and
Yeah.
artlist.com, I'm like music is really big. I actually started off making music. Like I used to make a lot of music when I was younger and producing and, you know, trying to be a rapper and all that kind of stuff. And then I stopped doing that and moved on to this, and now just making music is like the one thing I have where it's like this is just a hobby. Like I'm not trying to make music up, make money off of it. It's just a hobby. So music definitely is another one of those tools that I use in building a story or building another project.
So what would you tell somebody who's looking to follow a path similar to yours?
I would say start with your networking early. Like, don't fight it. You have to do it. Fight yourself to get out of the, I don't want to go talk to people, blah, 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 blah. Don't do it. Get out and network. Also, another thing that people like to say is, oh, I don't want to worry about the business and politics of it. I just want to be creative. Like, no, it's all together. You
Mhm.
have to, it's all together. You have to worry about it. You have to worry about the business. You have to worry about the politics, and you still have to be creative. So don't fight it and embrace it and figure it out. Those are probably two of the biggest things that I struggled with in the beginning that I would go back and kind of change.
Would you say that there's like a line where it's like don't go so far out of your like your comfort zone that you get into the uncomfy zone?
Um, no, not for me. I like to get in the uncomfy zone, but yeah, I think it's don't go so far out of your comfort zone to where you look fake.
Mm.
That's the big thing. Like you don't want to look fake because people can read fake people. Like I'll get out of my comfort zone, but at the end of the day, I'm still me. You know what I mean? There's certain things that I'll do and certain things that I won't do. I'm not gonna be fake. Like no one's gonna peer pressure me into doing something I don't want to do. No one's gonna, make me do something that I don't want to do or put me in a situation that I don't want to be in. No, there's situations that you don't want to be in, and then there's situations that you're uncomfortable in. And I'm
True.
good with going in an uncomfortable situation
Yeah.
and then figure it out.
Right. So how do you feel about a crap draft? Are you like a big proponent of just getting it out on paper?
Yeah. A lot of times I just have to get an idea out. Like it'll be trash. I think all first drafts are supposed to be trash. I don't think anyone should ever see your first draft. I think that I think that you should get that first draft out and look at it and say, "Oh, this is horrible," and then start to refine it. Oh, this is a little bit better. And I probably don't even show anybody any of my drafts until I've probably rewritten it like at least like 3 to 5 times.
Yeah.
Um, because it it's just like a bunch of loose thoughts all over the place, and I'm all about like getting it out and kind of not going back until it's all out. And then you go back and you're like, oh, what was I talking about here? I have no idea. I must have been asleep still or something. You know what I mean? And you kind of go back and you fix it. And then I know that that's a luxury. Like I know in Hollywood on shows, they write super fast and they've got to show stuff every day. But then that also comes with practice. They're also seasoned. They're also trained. They kind of know what to do. They wake up every day and do one thing and they have a time, it's regimented. So when you're kind of like us and you're kind of all over the place as creatives, you just got to get it out and then refine.
Do you think, and I love to ask this as like a last question, what's the worst advice you've ever been given?
Like the worst thing that you could ever do is just like take everything. But then also kind of the best thing that you could do is take everything. It's weird. It just depends on like where you're going. Yeah. Because when you're starting off, you want to do a lot of work because you want to get your portfolio together and you want to have things to show people. So you end up doing a lot of work. You end up doing a lot of free work, a lot of for the low work, but you're just getting it to build. Um, but yeah, I think a bad thing is to just kind of take everything in hopes that that will bring you something bigger or bring you something else. Anybody I've ever done a project with or worked with, they say, "Oh man, just do this one for me, and then we got so many more coming." It's never coming. It's never coming. It's never happened. So if you do decide to do a project, it's like do it because you want something out of it, whether it be like just this one good shot for your reel, or maybe it's to meet this one person over there. But don't do it with hopes of it bringing more work because 9 times out of 10 it won't. And the people who pay you when they pay you and you do a good job, they call you again. You know what I mean? Because now they know that their money's going to a good place, you know. So I think when you find the people that you align with and you're being authentic, then you definitely will find the path that you need to go on. I'm big on that. Just like put out what you want to get back, put out what you want to get back, put out what you want to get back, and then when you're putting out, you know, good energy, and you find someone that's not matching that, you the universe moves them out of the way, or you pivot and go another way. But like, just continue to do what you do.